Hi, this is Mihai. The only reason I'm doing this right now is because I'm tired of being Godskin Duo tech support. This is completely unscripted, so I have no idea what I'm gonna be saying and like how cohesive everything is going to be. But I really don't want to put in any more time towards like explaining Godskin Duo until at least Recycle makes his fucking guide, which is definitely going to be doing. I want to explain Godskin Duo, but I feel like I would first need to explain the individual enemies, so Godskin Apostle and Godskin Noble. So yeah, I'm not sure. Generally, very general thing about both of the enemies is that Apostle is a lot more uh, no role focused, while Noble is very much preferable to be fought with rolls, as fighting him with no roll is pretty bad. Apostle is also it's also very beneficial learning how to fight Apostle no roll because of a bunch of situations that are going to come up in the duo fight. Usually I do no sprint, but like most of the no sprint stuff applies to no roll as well. It's just more lenient. So I'll use my no sprint footage for that. I'm gonna start with Apostle, and then Noble, and then Godskin Duo itself. Okay, so first things first. Most important things to know about Apostle, no roll, no sprint, and in general, I guess first, would be that you want to be like positioning is very very important for Apostle, even with rolls, especially compared to Noble, who while for whom positioning is important, but nowhere near as much as for Apostle, because Apostle can create situations that are straight up undodgeable, depending on your position. And as such, you have to be able to manipulate him and play around that proactively. Okay, so I'm gonna go into this no sprint fight, and we're gonna see exactly like I'm gonna be explaining as stuff goes on. So if anything is like, I'm gonna try to mention everything that's going on, but there are a lot of details, so I might miss out on some of them. And if so, I'm gonna get to them like later on. But okay, so for Apostle solo, let's see. When you approach him, this is before anything else has happened. He's very very likely to do the jump because of the range that you enter the arena from and your positioning relative to him. He at that spot, like at that kind of distance, you can see right here. So he starts in phase 1, and you are basically beyond 15 meters. So he's either fireball, jump, or walk at you. These are his options. He cannot do anything else from given the positioning that you're entering the arena from. And approaching him for both jump and fireball are safe. This is not this isn't as applicable for the Godskin Duo fight, but for the solo fight, it's basically 80% of you being safe to approach him and 20% you not being safe to approach him. Especially for no sprint and no roll. Okay, so, and you'll see that the first thing that he does is a jump. You can also tell. Okay, so an important thing to know before everything else, I guess, before I even move on, is that, so we're back on Apostle, right? This is Apostle's AI. So you're gonna see the fireball here. This is FromSoft kind of messed up here because they I didn't even bother to include the range check here, but it's So before he throws the fireball, he's gonna check if there are any friends within 100 meters of him, within 90 degrees. Well, if Apostle is within 90 degrees from the back left position of any friend there is. This doesn't check specifically for Noble or Apostle or anything else. As long as there is a friend somewhere in front of him, more specifically, well, there's also one for back right. So it's basically, as long as there is a friend within 180 degrees in front of him, he's going to precede fireballs with a hop, either left or right. Why this is relevant for the solo fight is because there is a Black Flame Monk as you enter the arena. And as long as you keep him alive, he's going to be behind the Black Flame Monk. So, as such, he's going to precede every fireball with a side hop. So that's how you're going to be able to tell whether he's going to do a fireball or not most of the time, because there's going to be a side hop and then it's guaranteed, especially in the solo fight, for there to be a fireball. Okay, but this time he started with a jump, which you can just walk under. That's the common strafe for it. Okay, let's move on. Actually, probably I should mention more stuff. So you'll notice my positioning here as I walk under him. Like, I don't want to be perfectly behind him. Either you want to walk a bit and then curve, or you want to walk and then free aim your attack so that you end up here relative to him when he finishes the jump animation. This is because if you are here, you are actually to his left, not behind him, because of the way that his face is, well, positioned. And as such, he can hit you with double swipes or a back hop swipe. This is relevant for no sprint and no roll, not so much for kills with rolls, because this position is safe from kills with rolls, but you're gonna have to roll a double swipe. But you want to basically move yourself to be here. Okay. Then you'll see he turns and does a poke. As long as you're in that position, these are very, very easy to strafe. Most of the attacks with bar stance strafe swords are double punishes for the player. Okay. When he side hops, this is pretty important. When he side hops, you want to follow him a bit, just so you can bait another attack, and then dip out, because there are going to be some attacks that you're not going to be able to dodge. This is for no roll, no sprint. You can apply this for kills with rolls, because it is unsafe even with rolls to be close to him. So you're going to have to dip out either way. And if you want to keep him engaged with you, this definitely adds to that. Okay. So you walk in, bait one attack. With rolls, you can punish and then walk behind him. The most important thing out of most attacks that he can do is that you end up behind him when he's done recovering. You have to be here, basically. Here is also safe, but it will require specific dodges for the different options that he can have. So it's much, much more preferable to be here. Okay, as you can see, he does a windmill. Windmills are preferably strafed this way, not this way. So they're preferably strafed clockwise as opposed to counterclockwise. You can strafe them counterclockwise as well. Either way, in order to be able to punish them, you are going to have to free aim your attacks. But strafing the windmill counterclockwise means that you're going to have to free aim your attacks in a completely away from him, so that you don't get your arm caught in the windmill. This is applicable for power stance straight swords specifically. With Mantis Blade, you can get 2 charged R2s, if I remember correctly. Yes, 2 charged R2s for this. you're gonna have to free aim again, but like the way that you free aim with Mantis Blade is gonna be different again, as opposed to Power Stance Straight Swords. The most important thing is that you don't get your arm caught up in the blade, in his weapon. Okay, as you can see, you want to basically keep this position and then continue attacking. Okay, there you go. He turns a bit after the windmill, trying to, well, because of the way the animation works. So you are, even though it didn't look like it, I was actually properly behind him. And then I get a backup swipe, which you can just strafe like this. This is like, the backup swipe is a very controversial attack because like a lot of people can't perform this strafe consistently, at least. Pretty useful is to not keep walking, because as you can see, this isn't always going to be the case. Like, it's just in general preferable to stop in your tracks either way. But especially if he actually pulls you with him with his collision, if I had kept walking, I would have actually walked into his sword. So it's really important to stop at the right time, and for that you have to be able to gauge where the proper spot is that you can blind spot this animation. There are actually multiple, like you can be completely behind him. I'm gonna have to go back. There are like okay. So this is a safe spot. Further behind him obviously is gonna be a safe spot. There is a safe spot, a blind spot here. This is a very weird one, but he basically swings above your head. But you have to be really close to him. It's an awkward spot that a lot of people don't even know about. Regardless. Okay, as you can see, he also like turns like a conch. It's conch. The word. Yeah, okay, so he does a twirl like this, basically. If he pulls you with him, then he's basically gonna get you closer to him at the end, and that's fine. Either way, if you're playing with rolls specifically, it's actually preferable to roll away from him, as he's like backup swiping, because then you're gonna bake the fireball. And it's with light rolls and medium rolls and heavy rolls, the distance that he's gonna cover while backup swiping is in such a way that you're going to be able to cover that distance while sprinting before the fireball can hit you. And the fireball has the blind spot in front of him. So if you roll away from him, you're going to be able to just sprint back in if you react in time accordingly, as long as you see that he's going to do a fireball. This is a follow-up fireball, so it's not going to be preceded by a side hop from the Black Flame Monk. Okay, but since this is no sprint, I can't bait a fireball, so I have to make do with what I got. Okay, so as you can see, I walk close to him to bait a follow-up, to bait an attack out of neutral, and I see that he's doing this, the hook and pull. Relevant here is that once he pulls it back, you are basically within somewhere around this range of him. It's 3.5 meters, if I'm correct. But you don't want to get within it too early, basically, because you're going to be baiting the follow-ups, the other follow-ups that are like closer proximity, basically. It's a bit complicated. Like, it's not okay. So there is a 3.5 meter radius, I think, around him, where he can do a bunch of follow-ups that are very, very mean. This is for no roll, no sprint, with rolls, regardless. You don't want to be within that range. There is a 4.5 meter radius, I think, around him, where he can only do two things. Either he does the one-legged slam, which you're going to be seeing in a moment, or he does nothing. The one-legged slam has a 70 or 80% probability of happening, so it's very likely that he's going to do the one-legged slam. But regardless, so what you want to do is walk within that 4.5 meter radius in time but not walk within the 3.5 meter radius. So you want to walk in late enough that you don't, that just constantly walking forward, you're not going to enter the 3.5 meter radius, but you don't want to stop because you need to keep moving forward in order to be able to strafe the one-legged slam. So it's a pretty tight timing and position, but you'll see how this works. There you go. So as you can see, immediately once he does that, the way that his tracking works means that you'll be in this position regardless of like the angle that you approach him at, as long as you're walking somewhere in this direction. So he was here, and you can walk here and he'll still be here. Okay, and then strafe, you want to be there, and there you go. This was not a mistake, because again, I can deal with whatever happens on this side, but it's important to know that, so this is what happens. As you can see, I was to his left, I wasn't behind him, and as such, I got a double swipe. This double swipe, this is the bane of most people's existence, this attack. And from this position, because I'm so close to him, I can just walk through it. And then I have to switch directions immediately. I know that I'm going to have to switch directions the moment that I see him turn for the double swipe. So I know that I'm going to have to switch directions from this spot. Probably from a few frames later. But like from the moment that I see him doing the double swipe the opposite way, I know that for the second swipe, I'm going to have to move that way. There you go. You don't have time to react to this. You just have to understand the way the attack works at all times. This is the quintessential part of Godskin Apostle. If you don't understand how this attack works specifically, you won't be able to fight him, regardless of whether you're doing no roll, no sprint with rolls, any restriction. Because this is a frame trap. If you are in front of him and he does this, it's too fast to react to in such a time frame that you would be able to queue up a second roll to dodge the second swipe. And you can't cover both swipes with a single roll. And because of the range that it covers, it's very often that you're not going to be able to roll out of it either. You can't roll behind him, and you can't roll in front of him. You can't roll behind him to the left or to the right if you are in front of him. Far enough in front of him, that's what I mean. So there is a specific region in front of him that this attack is undodgeable. Like there is nothing that the player can do in terms of like iframe dodging conventionally without stuff like Valve the Indomitable to allow you to deal with this attack in a hitless manner. So you really, I can't stress this enough, you really want to be careful about this attack in particular. Okay, so as you can see, when he's strafing it, you end up behind him again, and he does a back hop, side hop. And there he's idling. I walk in front of him a bit, bait this attack, get the same follow-up. Okay, side hop. This attack and the double swipe are the reason why you have to be mindful of how much you walk with him when he side hops. Because if you walk too much, you're not going to be able to outspace this. As you can see, I was extremely close. And I am familiar enough with the distance that he can jump that I'm able to turn before he even lands, because I know I'm going to be safe. Because I know that I had gotten out of his range. But this is only applicable for no sprint, by the way. For no roll, you don't care because you can always just run behind him. But yeah. And with rolls, obviously, just roll the attack. Okay, you have just enough time for no sprint to actually walk behind him in this proper spot to dodge it. You can, with Power Stance Straight Swords, you can actually start an attack earlier for the double swipe, and you can double punish it. It's safe. You have to free aim, but it's safe. I didn't do it there because this is an older kill, but yeah. It's interesting here. You can see it basically. That was it here? Yeah. I recognize that I'm to his left, And I basically, regardless of what I was gonna do, I see him turn around, I start moving that way. But because his body moves in a specific way for the pokes, even though I'm clicking moving right, I'm actually moving forward because I'm being pushed by his body. For the jumps, you don't want to overstrafe things. The jumps are, like, again, this is enough. He won't hit you there. You basically only need to take 2 steps. Preferably take 2 steps forward left relative to you. Because, again, you don't want to walk straight forward because you're going to end up to his left, actually, when he lands. Because he both tracks and he turns. He, like, has a different body position when he lands. Okay, slide hop. And this is the 3rd attack that you have to be mindful of when he side hops, and you need to respect his range. You just outspace the first 2 hits and then walk in for the jump. You'll notice a thing that I do here for these. The moment that he does the first swipe, I call these double encroaching slashes. I start moving to my right. Yes, I start moving to my right. This is right back for the first swipe, and then full right for the second swipe. And then I start walking that way. This isn't relevant for phase 1 because you're going to be able to walk in, but this specific motion is very important for a specific follow-up in phase 2 when you can do the alternate triple spin. For that one, you're going to have to be as close as possible after his second swipe so that you can strafe the first part of the alternate triple spin. So you're going to want to basically make sure that you're not creating further distance once you're out of the range of his attack. Okay. So this single diagonal, keep in mind where I'm specifically talking about no sprint here, gives you enough time, pretty leniently, to walk into the correct spot behind him. The double slash follow-up, though, or the double slash attack from neutral, the other, basically the one where he does 2 swings, for that one, you actually don't have enough. I mean, you do have enough time, but it's going to be a lot tighter, and you have to be very mindful of your positioning. And for no sprint specifically, I prefer not taking that opening. Okay, this is this is a relevant thing that I should mention it. Once he does the first part of the swipe, you actually want to stop for like half a second or something, just to assess what he's gonna do later. Because out of this, he can do double swipe, he can do one-legged horizontal. And you need, this break that you're taking must not be longer than the time that will allow you to actually still strafe those attacks. So you must, it has to be very brief. But you need a break to assess what is going to happen. And if he's going to do those, you need to move to the right, basically. If he doesn't do those, then he's going to do one form of poke. He can either do a double poke follow-up, a single poke, or a delayed single poke. Double poke and single poke by themselves are completely fine. It doesn't matter if you're overstrafing this attack, you can keep walking. If he does the delayed poke, though, which you're going to see here, that one you actually don't want to overstrafe. You want to just take like 1 or 2 steps further behind him, because that one actually will be able, he lowers his weapon in such a way that he can actually hit you on the backswing. Well, not on the backswing, on the, with the back part of his weapon when he's swinging forward. So there, but also, if I had started attacking, you can see that this this arm was actually pretty close to his weapon as it was moving that way. You can still see the trail. So you want to attack late enough that this doesn't happen, and you don't want to be positioned in a way that he's just gonna like hit you with it. Okay. But yeah, that's a double punish. And this is basically the loop of phase 1. Even though I walked in the correct way, I just got the very slim possibility that he's not gonna do a follow-up. This is fine. This is still safe because the recovery from the hook and pull is long enough to allow you to actually walk behind him. Double swipe, and there is the transition. As long as you're close enough after the transition, you are always going to get the stretching black flame attack. Only after the transition, you're actually safe to do like 2 punishes here. Then you walk backwards, and with Power Stance Straight Swords, unfortunately, you're gonna have to wait, because when he swings the Twin Blade, if you start attacking right now, you're gonna have your arms over your head when he swings behind him, and it's gonna clip your arm. So I wait until the Twin Blade is past me, then I start attacking. 3 punishes. Okay, triple spin. Phase 2 for both Noble and Apostle is very dominated by special attacks. So transition and the stretching black flame are scripted attacks. They're always going to happen as long as you do what I showed you to do. If you're further away from him, he can do the stretching windmill attack after the transition. I mean, he can do the stretching windmill attack, or the stretching, and if you're even farther away, I mean, or the stretching swipe attack, where he repositions closer to you. Okay, but because of the way that Phase 2 AI is structured, basically all of the special attacks that he gains in Phase 2 are much more likely to happen as long as you're in the proper spot for them while they're off cooldown. So immediately after the stretching black flame attack, you will see that okay, as you can see, I free aim my attack to be here, and because of this, as long as I am in a 120 degrees, I think, cone in front of him, he can do a triple spin. This triple spin will kill you if you walk to the left. So you want to strafe the triple spin to your right. So counterclockwise to him. Oop. Okay. At this point, you have 2 options. Either walk away, and that's going to be safe, but you're going to basically slow down the fight a bit, or you can walk with him. If you walk with him, you want to be sure that if either you are far enough behind him that this swing is not going to hit you, or you are far enough away from him that this swing is not going to hit you. If you're too close, it's going to hit you though. Okay. Ignore the animation. For some reason, his Twin Blade just flies for the end of it. But yeah, you can punish him. It's safe. As you can see, I end up in front of him. This is, for no sprint, this is very, very dangerous. At this point, you have to be extremely careful, because he's not going to do a triple spin again, because the triple spin is on cooldown. It's a soft cooldown, but it's very, very, very unlikely. We're talking like one in like 100,000 chance for him not to do it. But at this point, he can do the backup swipe, which will kill you with this spot, because you cannot strafe it from here. You have to be here to strafe it. So in case he's gonna position himself to do a backup swipe, you actually have to turn away from him and walk away. But if you do that preemptively without reacting to the backup swipe, if he does a jump, you're not gonna have enough time to strafe back in, so you're gonna get killed. So you have to wait and react to what's going on. Or not punish the triple spin and pre-position yourself in such a way that even if he does a backup swipe, he's not going to hit you. So either you lose on a punish, you hinge yourself on a very, very difficult reaction that you're going to have to pull off, or walk away from the triple spin entirely after the first part. Okay, but we can see that he's going to do the windmill, the standing windmill. So I'm forced to strafe it on this side. As you can see, I start attacking later as compared to if I was on the other side. still get 3 punishes. Notice the free aim, that way, and that way. Just do not push myself into his twin blade. Okay, but then phase 2 continues. Phase 2 is a bit awkward, because now it's actually not safe to be at the same distance that I was in phase 1. So I have to play from further away, but I still have to bait the same attacks and perform the same strafes as I did in phase 1. So walking in on this attack at the correct time is a lot more difficult, because I have to walk in from farther away. Okay. The reason why you have to be further away is the triple spin, because you're not going to be able to actually strafe the triple spin to your right if you're far enough in front of him. So you're going to have to outspace it, but the triple spin has an insane range. So you have to be very mindful of that. You can play aggressively, you can play phase 2 like you would phase 1, as long as the triple spin is on cooldown, and the triple spin has a 20-second cooldown, but it's a soft cooldown, so it can still happen while it is on cooldown, though much less likely. Okay. You can take riposte. If you're doing this with rolls or no roll, you can actually punish the wake up, do a wake up punish, as long as you are positioned here, basically, like behind him to his left. Because then he's not going to be able, because when he gets up, you're going to be perfectly in front of him. He's not going to be able to do a back hop swipe. So he's going to basically either do a double swipe, or he's going to slide hop. So you're going to be safe. But for no speed, you can't do that. And at this point, I am actually disengaging. I am trying to bait him running. The moment that you see him running, let me show you. So the only attacks that allow him to run up to the player are the stretching swipe, the stretching windmill, the jump, only in phase 2, and the triple spin. These are the only attacks that allow him to run at the player. And that's it. So if you see him running at you, you basically know that you're going to be safe, as long as you walk in, because all of those attacks can be strafed by walking to the right. There is one caveat to this, though. As you can see, he can run at you in phase 2 if you are further than 7.5 meters from him. Then he's going to run up until 5.5 meters to you. And this is not into an attack. He's going to run at you and then replan his AI and do something else from neutral. And whatever he does from neutral, you're basically, that's going to be the same situation like in phase 1. So you're going to have to strafe those to your left clockwise. But remember, if he does the run at you into an attack, you have to strafe those counterclockwise to your right. So you have to be able to tell what exactly he's going to do. Is he running at you to do an attack, or is he running at you just to close the gap? If he's running, you can tell basically. The way that you can tell is you don't want to get farther than 7.5 meters from him at any time. So you want to stay within 7.5 meters basically in phase 2. It's going to be a very, very tight range, because like the triple spin is going to be able to cover about 7 meters. But if you are further than 7.5 meters and you see him start running at you, then you have 1.5 meters well, it's not always 1.5 meters. Unfortunately, this isn't a very reliable thing because different attacks are going to lead him closer or farther away from the player. But like, for example, for the jump, it's going to start it from 7 meters from the player. The searching swipe is going to be from 6.5 meters, and the windmill is going to be from 5 meters. So it's not really a very reliable method of doing this. But we can see where he has, what the distance is. He has the approach room. So beyond 7.5 meters, he has a 20% chance of approaching if you are in front of him. Or, is this phase 2? No, this is phase 1. Yeah, okay, my bad. So in phase 2, he has a 20% chance of running at you, basically, if you're beyond 7.5 meters, so it's always a run. And then 100, not percent, my apologies. How much do these add up to? 300. So it's 20% divided by 3. About 7. He's going to have about 7% chance of running at you. And doing nothing, or doing a different follow-up. And then he's going to have a 33% chance of running at you and doing a stretching swipe, 33% chance of running at you and doing a stretching windmill attack. And as you can see, this is for the range of between 7.5 and 10 meters. If you are further than this, if you are beyond 10 meters, it's always going to be, it's either going to be a jump, which is going to be, in this case, it is a 30%. It is going to be a 30% chance of running at you to do a jump, or a 20% chance of running at you and doing nothing. So you really don't want to be further than 10 meters from him. But you want to be, you don't want to be closer than 7.5 meters from him. Well, not much closer, like more than 7 meters or something. So there is a sweet spot, basically. Ideally between 7 and 7.5 meters. But if you are going to be beyond 7.5 meters, you are still very likely to be safe between 7.5 and 10 meters. Anything past that is going to get you killed. Keep in mind, jump, fireball, stretching windmill, and stretching swipe are all safe to happen for you between 7.5 and 10 meters. And as you can see, if you are between 5 and 7.5 meters, he actually has a higher chance to actually just walk at you and do nothing. And he also has a 20%, he also has a chance to actually not do anything, like to idle and not walk at you at all, which is also not good for the flow of the fight. So in general, you want to toe the line between 7.5, between 7 and 7.5 meters. Anyhow, because of the range that I basically knew that I was going to be safe to walk at him. No, so I just walk in, punish. The stretching windmill is a quadruple punish. You can punish everything, but the way that the stretching windmill punish works is you want to actually be here before you start punishing. And when you free aim, you want to be attacking this way towards his butt, because if you're going to be attacking any other way, you're going to walk in front of him. And as you can see, when he stretches back and then he returns to neutral, the way that he's like facing is going to make you be exactly in that blind spot there. So even if he did a backup swipe, you would be able to strafe it. Even if he did a double swipe, you would be able to strafe it. But he can't do a triple spin from that if you are in that spot, because he can only do a triple spin if you're in front of him. So yeah, that's basically how this works. Pretty sure it was the 120-degree range in front of him. Yeah, okay, see? He can do a triple spin if you are to his left, but he cannot do a triple spin if you are to his right. So you're going to be safe, basically, is what I'm trying to say. As long as you are behind him 120 degrees. Well, behind the 120 degrees cone in front of him, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. After side hops, he's very likely to do the stretching black flame attack, which at that point you're gonna actually have to outspace the first and walk in on the second. And now you have a question. Either you don't punish the stretching black flame attack and you walk in the position where you're going to be able to deal with whatever he does, or you punish and then you take a gamble, because at this point he can either do a backup swipe, which is going to kill you if you try to walk to the right, or a triple spin, which is going to kill you if you try to walk to the left. So if the triple spin is off cooldown, walk to the right. If the triple spin is on cooldown, walk to the left. Or don't punish, or punish but frame your attacks so that you get behind the 120 degree cone in front of him. But do keep in mind that when he returns to neutral, he actually is gonna change the way that he's facing. But as you can see, I got a triple spin. For this one, you can just outspace, even no sprint. You want to be close enough to him to actually bait the follow-up. These are follow-ups. These are not attacks from neutral. But you don't want to be far enough from it that you bait the fireball, because fireball doesn't give you anything, while these attacks give you punishes. Okay, for this one, basically the way that you punish is in such a way that you end up behind him in the spot when he's done. Okay, you can see this. Okay, and for one of the last relevant things for phase 2 is jumps now are not punishable. Jumps now will have different follow-ups based on your position to him. Okay, so well, let's imagine 4 quadrants around him. There is completely behind him, which is basically this. There is to his left, to his right, and in front of him. If you are completely behind him, he's basically gonna have only the one-legged slam as a follow-up, which you can strafe. If you are to his left, he's only gonna have the one-legged horizontal. So slam behind, horizontal to his left, which you cannot strafe. If you are to his right, then he's gonna have the one-legged slam or an uppercut, which you can strafe because the uppercut comes from his left. Yes. And if you are in front of him, he can do all of the above. Uppercut and one-legged horizontal will kill you. One-legged slam is gonna be really hard to strafe. So yeah, don't be in front of him. And also keep in mind the way that he's turning, as you can see. Basically, in front of him also means, as you can see, I'm pretty close to toeing the line. If you want to consistently bait the proper proper follow-ups, you actually want to curl around him and basically end up here, and then you're gonna have to react to whatever he does as a follow-up. But yeah. But I knew, because I had gone to his left, that I was gonna get the one-legged horizontal, so I just cleared the area. And I bait the run, windmill again, and that's it. This is how the fight goes. Okay, next is for Godskin Noble. Noble, again, you want to fight him with rolls. It's important that you know no roll dodges for him and no sprint, but you generally want to mainly rely on rolls. And you want to be very, very accustomed with Noble's moveset for the duo fight. Okay, so let's go through the fight. He has the exact same thing as Apostle, where if he is behind an enemy that is a friend of his, then he's going to precede any fireball from neutral with a side hop. Okay. This is a front hop poke. There are multiple different ways of dealing with this attack. Mine is usually the no-roll way. You walk to the left. You basically barely have to do anything about it, and you're gonna be able to, whoop, and you strafe it. You can also strafe this to the right. If I had just decided to walk to the right, I would have been safe. I would have had to like run a bit further behind him to the right, but that would have been safe. And there is the third option, which is rolling into him. If you roll into him, you are going to be baiting the single hill slam, and then so basically you're running into him, rolling into him, and then running either clockwise or counterclockwise in order to strafe the single hill slam. But I don't do that, so I get one. Well, I only get one punish. The single hill slam is a triple punish on some occasions with power stance straight swords. But again, that's not a consistent punish, because like he can just not do the single hill slam punish, a follow-up. And you might not be able to get that range, because I think it's a 45-degree check, if I'm correct. Let me just make sure. It's a very tight check. No. Oh, it is a 120-degree check. My bad. Okay. Is that it? 31. Yes. Okay. Okay, back to the fight. Okay, so I punish. This is a wobbly horizontal into a poke. Well, this makes him like get away from you, and then he pokes. You have to roll both attacks for this, because the poke has pretty good tracking, and you basically can get a punish on this, but you have to be mindful of it. Or you can because he's like retreating when doing it, you can very easily just walk out of the range of it, because the wobbly horizontal itself actually doesn't hit where he was. If you stand still, is what I'm trying to say, when he starts doing the attack, it's not going to hit you with the wobbly horizontal part. So as long as you don't walk after him, you're going to be safe, but you're going to have to get out of the range for the poke itself. Okay, and then he does the Black Flame Ritual. This one, you generally want to roll out of. You can outspace it. You don't have to be very worried about it, but it's preferable to roll out of, just because it gives you more time to actually position yourself for the follow-up, because this is a pretty complicated attack. Okay, so at this point he has a bunch of different options. If you were inside of the ring, important to mention, the ring is randomized. It can be any diameter. It can have a radius of anything between 3 and 5 meters, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, it's completely unsafe to be inside of the ring, unfortunately. Okay, so you've rolled out of it. At this point, if you are inside the ring, he's going to do a single hill slam or a double hill slam. If you are inside of the actual ring, like in the flames, he's going to do a single hill slam. If you are at the edge of the ring, he has a pretty high chance of doing a delayed thrust, which is what you want to get, or a fireball, which can also be punished. And if you are and the further you get, the more likely it's going to be for him to do a fireball instead of a delayed thrust. So the sweet spot is going to be near the ring. And you want to be in front of him because of the way that the ring is shaped. Like, it's an oval, it's not actually a ring. Well, I mean, it is a ring, but my bad. It is a ring. His size basically makes it so that his shape, I guess, makes it so that you like there is more space from him, in front of him than to the side, than to his sides. Okay, so I got a delayed thrust. You roll this, and you roll this either behind him or to the either to the left or to the right. Both are safe, and then you punish. Because I am so far behind him, he's forced to do a side hop or a tail swipe. He cannot do anything else. Well, actually, in that spot, he can also do a wobbly horizontal into a poke. So yeah, you do that one you're gonna have to roll or walk away from, I guess. But okay, but he's very likely to do a side hop. In phase 1, so in both phases, side hops are punishable. But in phase 1, they're a lot tighter because you basically have to start your punish in such a way that you end your punish before he finishes the recovery of the side hop that will allow him to do a belly flop. If you manage to start your attack and finish your attack before he finishes his side hop, then you're going to be able to roll out preemptively from a prospective belly flop. But if you start your punish too late, then you're gonna be hit by the belly flop. Here I started it so early that I still got the third part of the player combo, which unfortunately didn't have enough range. But this is the kind of speed that you need in order to be able to actually punish the side hops in phase 1 consistently. In phase 2, they become a lot more lenient because because Noble Presence is slower than the belly flop by like 4 frames, 3 or 4 frames. Okay, regardless. So as you can see, like I told you, the wobbly horizontal doesn't hit you if you stand still. So you're safe. You have to walk backwards for the poke. And then you walk back in. With rolls, you can also just do a jumping attack from this range. Actually, you want to start your jumping attack here. You basically want to be jumping while his blade is still outstretched. So you can punish it before he finishes recovery on this attack, which would allow him to go into a belly flop. You have enough time to get an attack in here on the wind-up because it's a very long wind-up, but regardless, after that you roll behind him either to the left or to the right. Okay, you double punish that because the way that I was positioned relative to him meant that I couldn't triple punish. And how slow I was, because like if you strafe the hill slam, then it is a triple punish. If you don't, then it is a double punish. But regardless, for the double slam, you want again to roll the first slam behind him and then walk a bit, because otherwise you're going to be caught in the shockwave of the second slam. Walk a bit and then start punishing. Okay? You can do that on either sides, but you have to teach yourself to actually roll into him as opposed to roll away from him. If you roll away from him, actually, you can if you do a jumping attack very, very early, you can get a jumping attack in and then the second part of your combo and then roll away even if there's going to be a belly flop. But that punish is very tight, a lot less tight in phase 2 again. And also even tighter if you're forced to roll out of the hill slam. Okay. This is a firm horizontal into a firm poke. This one you actually want to roll that way. One punish if you're still in front of him after the roll. If you are behind him after the roll, you can get 2 punishes. Wobbly horizontal in the poke. I just outspace. Walk back in. roll behind him, double punish, roll with the tail swipe. You can jump over the tail swipe, by the way, but I don't. I just don't usually jump the tail swipe, but I roll with the tail swipes to end up in front of him. And also specifically because of stuff like this, you can strafe this twirling horizontal just by walking counterclockwise relative to him. This is a double punch. This is an overhead poke, which you can blind spot in front of him, like this. And you can just start attacking him. As long as the moment that you see it and recognize it, you can start an attack. He's not going to hit you. But then you walk out, and then you walk back in. And as you can see, I strafed the front hop poke on the other side this time. 2 punishes. And then I roll behind him, basically. Double punish that. And there is a sign up. At this point, I knew that he was going to stagger, so I take the punish late, because it doesn't matter. But yeah, I knew he was going to stagger, and I stagger him. 1 punish before taking the riposte. Take the riposte, and then you can get 1 punish in when he gets out. Usually here he would transition, but I got unlucky and he didn't decide to transition. So I just keep doing what I'm doing. Punish, he transitions around behind him. You can, the moment that you see him start transitioning, you can, if I had the stamina, I could have taken 2 punishes here. But unfortunately, I didn't have the stamina. So I had to only take 1 punish just so that I would have enough stamina to actually roll again, to roll after it. And if you have the stamina, you can actually get 3 punishes after rolling in. But again, I had literally no stamina, so I only got 1 punish. Walk out, because as long as you roll into the transition AoE, then he's always going to do a balloon. And if you're outside of the transition AoE, then he's going to do a roll. You can jump over the AoE of the shockwave of the balloon slam. You have to walk a bit further back and then jump, but not straight towards him, but like diagonally, either left or right. And you can get a jumping attack that way. Especially useful for like heavier weapons, but with power stance straight swords, I just prefer walking a bit, usually counterclockwise for him, and then doing a roll. Because like, look where this puts me. Like I'm exactly behind him, so I can just punish, and he's gonna do a side hop there. Alright, right. Because Noble Phase 2 works the exact same way as Apostle Phase 2. Noble presence, all of his special attacks in Phase 2 have a very, very high chance of happening, as long as you bait them. And this balloon is one of the easiest and most perfect baits if you want to play the Phase 2 safely for Noble presence. So if I hadn't done the walk counterclockwise around him and then roll, I could have just rolled straight into him when he landed, and I would have baited a Noble presence at that point. But I didn't. Okay, so this is the Phase 2 side hops, which I can just punish out of neutral. This is the fastest attack that can happen in Phase 2, and as you can see, it's perfectly safe. So yeah, you just take the punish on the side hop and then react to the Noble presence accordingly. You can punish Noble presence, but I didn't have the stamina to queue up a rolling attack after this. It needs to be a rolling attack. If I had done a rolling attack and he had decided to do another Noble presence, because Noble presence is on a soft cooldown, even though it's very, very unlikely, it can happen. So it's not safe. I would have died. And same for the follow-up that happens here, actually. Like if I had done a rolling attack, I wouldn't have had the stamina in time to actually dodge this. Yeah. The roll can happen regardless of your position relative to him. So if you overstrafe stuff behind him, it's very likely that he's gonna do the roll. Like this is a very easy way to bait the roll because he doesn't have as many options if you're behind him than if you are in front of him. You can take a punish on the roll at the start, roll through the roll the first time. You basically. So the first segment of the roll, the startup of the roll, has higher tracking than the actual loop of the roll. So ideally, especially if you can roll yourself, you roll through the first part of the roll and then you get behind him and then you start doing the chasing your own tail thing. Right, this is not very applicable here because of the arena, but there is a trick to knowing when exactly he's going to end his roll in phase 2, so that you can like pre-plan an attack and all of that. Either way, so this is a Black Flame Ritual, and this is gonna, as you're gonna be able to see, this is gonna give me a fireball. There are multiple different ways of dealing with this. If there wasn't a pillar here, you can actually just sprint around the thing. And remember that I told you that you're gonna know, because the fireball has a lot of forward momentum, he's actually gonna get closer to you. And if you manage to keep the same distance to him, then he's just gonna throw the fireball over your head if you manage to run far enough to the side of the ritual. The problem here is there is a variable in the sense of like how large the radius of the ritual is, because again it's randomized. So the smaller it is, the easier it is going to be to do this strafe for you. But it is doable regardless of how large it is. It's just going to be harder. And obviously if there is a pillar, you cannot do it in the way. And he was flanked by pillars. There's a pillar here and a pillar there, so I couldn't have done this either way. So I walk away, roll in, and if I had rolled a bit closer, you want to basically roll towards him, yeah, I would have been able to get a rolling attack. Because again, this is phase 2. Like, look how much time I had to actually to react to Noble Presence there. Flurry can be dodged either to the right or to the left, but you have to be mindful of the arena, and I saw that there was a pillar there, and because he actually tracks on the flurry, I would have ended up being caught between him and the pillar, and I would have been able to actually strafe the other parts of the flurry. One roll is enough if you're close enough to him to dodge the entire flurry, because you roll it behind him and then you strafe. If you are farther than that from him, you're going to need 2 rolls. 1 roll for the first part and 1 roll behind him. After the first roll, you can start punishing. Okay. The quadruple punish on the flurry is a tough one. Usually you want to go for a triple punish. Because I was so far behind him, he would have either side hopped, which he did, tail swiped, or balloon. Balloon is the most dangerous one because I was basically running out of stamina. But you can deal with all of them as long as you have the maximum amount of stamina that you can have at that point, and you are in the proper spot and you react to everything fast enough. Okay, so I see an overhead poke coming and I start an attack. If you start in phase 2, overhead pokes, and every single poke has a new follow-up, which is the multi-hit combo. So that is a very huge threat because it's a very hard to react attack, faster than Noble Presence. So I take the normal punish under the overhead poke, but then I see the first part of the attack misses me, and then I see that this is happening, and then I actually deal with the attack itself. And I have enough time to actually roll out of it. So, well, to actually roll it. That is a very threatening attack, and it's extremely difficult to actually even see it coming, because it can come out of every single poke in the fight. And it's very fast. It's like, again, it's faster than Noble Presence. I can show it. If I manage to see it. Combo, there you go. Okay, so the first hitbox happens 24 frames in. And it's not the kind of hitbox that like starts very far away from you, because this part will hit you. So it is actually a 24 frame windup. Noble Presence has 27. Okay, so yeah, it's a tough one. Okay. Notice my stamina. I'm playing with fire here. Once he does an elbow slap, if you actually, like, you can outspace it, and as long as you start your attack while he's still swinging, you can get 2 punishes in. Okay, Noble Presence. You roll. I took the Punisher for Noble Presence even later. Like, that wasn't even a rolling attack, and it was still safe. But yeah, I was out of stamina, so again, a very good showcase of the range of this. Like, that attack literally just misses you, as long as you're standing in place. And then you walk out, you have to roll the second part, the follow-up. You have to roll the follow-up because it has longer range. And then, because you roll the follow-up away from him, you bait a delayed thrust, which you roll behind him. Good space, and kill. Okay, so that is Godskin Noble. There are a lot more intricacies to Godskin Noble than what I've mentioned, but I am going to go into them while discussing the actual duo fight, I think. Because this being with rolls, it's just there's just a lot more to take into account. Okay, so this is just an attempt while I was developing strats for the fight. So you're gonna see a lot more aggressive play, just by the mere fact that I was intentionally avoiding being passive. I was trying out the most aggressive things that I could think of. Okay, so Godskin Duo. When you walk in, it's very there are basically there are a lot of different options that they can go for when you walk in, because it's a double fight. If no Apostle can start with a fireball, or he can start with a different thing, and by a different thing I mean it's very often he's going to start with a fireball, because you're in that specific range that you're going to get a fireball. But if you don't get a fireball, you want to walk close enough to him to bait an attack. You want to bait an attack at the start of the fight from Apostle, just so that you can walk towards Noble. Noble, on the other hand, can do a bunch of different things as well. He can do a fireball as well, which you're going to have to roll into to get close enough. You're probably going to get a rolling attack, or you can jump over the fireball and get a jumping attack. Or you can do a delayed thrust, which is gonna which is basically you're gonna roll, because at that range you can't outspace it, because you're also dealing with Apostle. Or he's just gonna run at you, in which case you're gonna have to actually deal with Apostle. Like, you're gonna dodge relative to Apostle as opposed to Noble. And one of the core tenets of the fight for you is going to have to be that when you're punishing Noble, you have Apostle in the center of your screen. When you're punishing Apostle, you have a Noble in the center of your screen. You're never focusing on your target, because at this point, when you're fighting Godskin Duo, it is assumed that you're familiar enough with their movesets that you can tell what is going to happen with as little information as possible, preferably without even seeing them, because they have specific sound cues on the relevant attacks. So you need to be able to gather the information required for you to be able to react to things in as fast a time as possible, even when the conditions are not perfect. So even when you're not centering on the enemy. And that's a pretty important thing. But yeah, okay. So as you can see, Noble is walking at me. Apostle does double swipe, so I have to outspace double swipe. Apostle is probably going to do a fireball here. It's not guaranteed because, but there you go. Yeah, the fireball is not guaranteed. But if I hadn't gone in for the fireball, I would have been frame trapped. I would have had to roll the delayed thrust or the fireball first, and then I would have been hit by the other part. But I knew there was a fireball coming, so I do the no sprint dodge for Apostle, where I walk in and try to get behind him so that I can heal. So I don't roll what Apostle does. This is so that I can deal with whatever Noble is going to do. Okay, there you go. So I roll the Noble, and the Apostle is going to miss me. Apostle wouldn't have hit me there, but I just spam rolled. Noble did an attack there, but I was out of his range while he was behind me. At this point, look at my position relative to Apostle. He's going to jump. Like, it's very obvious that he's going to jump at that point. Because I was I was too far away from him for him to do anything else other than hook and pull. Okay, but he jumps. I roll in on Apostle. You always want to be to have one of them under control. Like, again, this is the blind spot for Apostle. From this spot, you don't have to roll anything that he does. So you can preserve your roll for whatever Noble is going to be doing. If I had rolled away from him and the Apostle decided to jump again, because the delayed thrust can bait a jump from Apostle, or if he decided to do hook and pull, then I would have just been dead, or he could have done a fireball. But no, you roll into this, you roll into the jump, and now, because I was in that spot, I forced Apostle to side hop, and I even got a punish off there, and then I roll a delay thrust, and I can punish Noble. I'm looking at Apostle here. I'm not looking at Noble. I knew where the roll was gonna put me. I don't care what Noble does anymore. My eyes are on Apostle. I see him back hopping, so I roll away. Now you keep tabs on what Noble is going to be doing. Again, remember the possible follow-ups after Black Flame Ritual. Fireball, delay thrust at this range. I'm trying to get information on Apostle. He's there. I'm getting in the spot. Delay thrust. Apostle is idling. Apostle started idling a while ago, and he has a set duration for the idle. I think it's 2.5 seconds. So I know that he's still gonna be idling. There you go. I hear the thing from the delay thrust. So at this point, I'm safe. I don't roll this way because Apostle is not doing anything. If I roll this way, I'm gonna end up behind the Noble, but Apostle is gonna hit me with whatever happens, with whatever he does out of neutral, because he is idling, and I'm gonna roll right in front of him, and he can do anything. So I roll this way. Apostle does a side hop there because I get to his right, to Apostle's right. Looking at Apostle, fireball. Take the punish on the delayed thrust, and then roll away from this. Because at that point, there was the Black Flame Ritual there, and I could have rolled inside the ritual, of course, but I would have still been in front of Apostle, because look at the position of them before that. There was no way for me to roll past Noble and past Apostle to the blind spot. So I was forced to roll away. When you're rolling away from a fireball, it's very scary because you have to actually iframe the entirety of the fireball itself and the explosion that is created on the ground. And I had to basically time my roll so that I dodge this, and also, well, in this case, remember what I told you about the wobbly horizontal, missing if you stand still. That is very important, because Noble wouldn't have hit me there. Okay, so the roll away meant that I would have actually outspaced the poke either way, because I had already done the roll. I already did the roll that I needed to do for the poke, but I did it even before I even saw the poke, because I knew it was going to come. So I would have been safe there. I did the second one because these stairs are a mess. Like, these stairs affect the fight in a lot of different ways, and they're very jank. So in general, you just want to go for safety. But yeah, double, this resets the fight. At this point, you are like just back to neutral. I see Apostle running at me. Noble is side hopping. Side hops usually mean fireballs. And there is a fireball. That's all you need to see. Now I know that Noble is doing a fireball there. I don't need to see it. I don't need to look at him anymore. Apostle is doing the double slash. I roll a double slash, and then I roll the second thing. Here I roll a bit too early. So this is a bit spooky, because I was afraid that the first roll on the first part of the double slash from Apostle didn't put me far enough behind him to actually blind spot the second slash. So I roll it. Was it a double slash? Am I crazy? Yeah, it was a double slash. Yeah. Okay, so I rolled twice there. Unfortunately, and this second roll is just in time. There were other things that I could have done here. So I see this happening. I could have rolled that way. I could have rolled that way and blind spotted the fireball. The problem with this is that the double slash that Apostle did has very bad tracking, but has a very long reach, and it is a frame trap. Like, if you don't get out of the range that he does, or if you don't roll early enough to be able to actually queue up a second roll to deal with the second swipe, then you're going to get frame trapped by this. When I rolled here, when I did the first roll here, I was early enough, like, there. I was early enough that I would have been able to roll away from him and queue up a second roll and dodge dodge the second slash, and also I blind spot the fireball. So basically here I did take the riskier option, but I keep the fight in this quadrant of the arena, so that's also preferable. And also look at how that positions Apostle, because now Apostle is behind Noble. I have Noble in front of me. That is preferable. Also, Apostle, side hop there, you saw it, fireball. You have to gather information. You're looking at Apostle, not Noble. Apostle doing fireball, now you're switching your attention to Noble, because he's the one in idle. Apostle is doing fireball. You know he's going to be doing fireball right now. And the way that this, okay, so I guess it's a good time to start mentioning this. So there are multiple different mechanics that influence how the fight works, the duo fight specifically. First of all, they have team effectiveness. That's how it's called internally, team effectiveness. It's basically an invisible score that they gather with every single attack. When it surpasses a specific threshold, they switch aggros. Noble is idling, so Noble is still in passive mode. He was in passive mode earlier. So I know that Apostle is still in aggressive mode. So I know that the side hops from Apostle are going to lead into a fireball. The side hops from the active one don't always lead into fireballs. And also another good way of telling whether a side hop is going to lead into a fireball is if they are behind their partner. Like Apostle was behind Noble, so this was pretty much guaranteed that this is going to be a fireball, because Apostle is still aggressive, active. You're going to see Noble is just idling because he's still in passive mode. But the fireball baits a delay thrust from Noble. because they have a secondary duo mechanic where they create specific sounds. These are inaudible sounds. They're just called sounds. They're just called sounds internally, but they basically create a giant radius around them that can only be heard by their partner. And when Apostle, let me show you. So Apostle creates a sound. So Apostle creates 356000, and Noble can hear 356000. And if I am within 5 meters in front of Noble, when he hears 356000, he's gonna do a delayed hilt slam. But I was not within 5 meters of Noble. I was further than that. So I get 3032, which is a delayed thrust. It's a 50% chance. It's not guaranteed, but you have to be mindful of this and play around it. Because in this case, it was obvious it was created by Apostle doing the follow-up, doing the fireball. And because Noble was in passive mode, he was gonna follow up. He was actually gonna be baited by Apostle, and this also is gonna transition him into active. But so I knew it would have been safe for me either way to roll this away. In order, you're also gonna see me walking away from them. See, just specifically because I wanted to clear the 5 meter radius. Roll, and there you go. You get a delayed thrust. Apostle, side hop. That's the important part. You're paying attention to Apostle, but Apostle is impassive now. Apostle was impassive, and it wasn't guaranteed that his side hops are going to lead into a fireball. Okay, I punish Noble. At this point, I'm behind Noble. He's either going to do a tail swipe, which has a specific, very, very clear tail, or he's going to side hop, because I'm far enough behind him that he can't even do the wobbly horizontal. And you're also looking at Apostle. He's running at me and then doing a side hop. I turn my camera to see what exactly is going to happen. What's the result of the side hop? Because it's uncertain. I don't know if he's going to do a fireball, because he is in passive mode. But he does a fireball. Noble instead turns, because that's another option that Noble can do actually. He just turns, and then he sees me and then does the wobbly horizontal. So at this point, obviously, roll into Apostle. Rolling into Apostle is by far the best way of dealing with this. There you go. And this also clears, because again, I rolled before I had to for the poke. I roll again, this time because there's Apostle in the way, so I wasn't sure. But that one single roll would have been enough if Apostle was there. But yeah, okay. Apostle is active now. So, yeah. Apostle is now the active one because it threw the fireball. Apostle does the jump, which baits a delayed thrust from Noble. I clear the jump and roll into the delayed thrust behind him. Apostle is the delayed thrust put Noble into active, and Apostle is now idling. You don't want to take this. If I had rolled behind Noble here, I would have been in front of Apostle, and if he swapped back to aggro, he would have hit me. So I roll away. I'm looking at Apostle. He did a side hop there, and then he started walking towards me for a bit, and then went back to idling. I do a jumping attack there, and Noble is transitioning. Okay. Create range from both of them, create distance from both of them before I decide what I'm going to do next, because right now I can't even see Apostle, so this is bad. Apostle is idling. For that whole duration, I had like 1 or 2 seconds there where I couldn't see Apostle. That is bad. But I was far enough from him that the only thing that he could have done while idling, he was also at the start of the idle loop, so it was safe. But I was far enough from him while idling that he was either going to jump or do a fireball. And fireball has a specific sound cue, and the jump, I would have also has a specific sound cue, which I can listen for. But also, I knew that he hadn't jumped yet, because I would have seen him when he jumps. He actually has a larger radius. And since he hasn't jumped yet, I can actually punish, and then he's gonna line up his jump with the transition. So I could have dodged both with a roll. But I see that he's not actually jumping; he's just idling. Take double punish, looking at Apostle, not Noble. I know that I can take 2 punishes here. I can take 3 punishes, but I didn't have the stamina. Roll away. Apostle side hopped, but he's not fireballing. So I'm doing the normal dodge for the balloon with one caveat. Apostle is running at me. So I actually create distance from Noble as opposed to like walking behind him. Again, also because I don't want to when I finish my roll to be in front of Apostle that was idling, because he can just die. But yeah, okay. Apostle ran at me, but that was the neutral run. Like he didn't have an attack queued. He just ran at me. Because I am aware of how Noble phase 2 works, by creating distance and rolling into the balloon, like I mentioned in the solo fight, I knew that this was either gonna swap the aggro back to Apostle, so Noble would have been rolling, would have been idling, but when you punish one of them, they swap back to aggro. Or a very, very high likelihood of Noble doing Noble Presence, because I'm in front of him in phase 2. He's already done the balloon, and he hasn't done Noble Presence at all, so this is Noble Presence. Okay, I roll away because I couldn't see Apostle, so I try to create space. I see Apostle jumping to the side hopping. He's not doing anything. Okay, so this is safe. Because you want to avoid being in front of Apostle, I'm actually not doing the strafe for Noble. Like, I could have strafed that attack counterclockwise around Noble. But I don't want to end up in front of Apostle, because even rolls are not safe if you're at that spot in front of Apostle, as opposed to Noble, where rolls are safe. So you can afford to strafe Apostle in front of Noble, but you can't afford to strafe Noble in front of Apostle. It doesn't work both ways. Okay. So I roll away from the twirling horizontal, but I'm not out of the range. So I know that it's going to be a hilt slam, a hilt poke. Because I'm not close enough to get a hilt slam out of it. And I'm not far enough to get a delayed thrust. So this is going to be a hilt poke. Again, I'm paying attention to Apostle here. I know what Noble is going to do, and you're going to see that because I'm going to do the roll early. Like, this is a very early roll, but I just knew it was going to happen. Oop. Looking at Apostle still. Apostle is just doing nothing right now. He's idling. This is the function where he's just walking back and forth, left and right. It doesn't matter. He's actually not. He doesn't have an attack queued up right now. He's not walking at me to do anything. He's just walking to idle. Okay, so I continue the sequence on Noble. I roll away, and now I'm in range to bait a delayed thrust. Because I see Apostle walking, I saw Apostle starting running. That was a jump. So at that point, let's go back. I actually strafe the jump and trying to strafe the delayed thrust as well. You're going to see that I can't actually strafe both because I'm getting body blocked by Apostle. But this is fine, because now I only need one roll to dodge this encounter. As long as you manage to keep it in such a way keep this to control the situation in such a way that you can deal with everything with just one roll, that's fine and that's safe. And that's what I wanted to do, because I knew that Noble was going to do the delayed thrust. The jump from Apostle wasn't guaranteed, but it was what I had to do. Right? I could have also created distance, obviously. I could have like just created distance, but then I would have gotten myself caught between the pillar and the wall, and you don't want that. Okay, so I'm dodging both. I get behind Noble. I know that Apostle is not facing me, so I can punish Noble because Apostle can't do anything on me. But I know that he has to turn. So I'm trying to get information on Apostle. I know that Noble can only do 3 things here. Turn into wobbly horizontal, tail swipe, or side hop. Noble, however, Apostle, however, is turning. And there you go. That's how much information you get. You're also you can also see that thing. This is a hook and pull. So I roll the hook and pull in a way that I also so if I had rolled the tail swipe this or that way, I would have been frame trapped by the hook and pull. So I had to outspace the hook and pull with a roll, but also dodge the tail swipe. So I rolled this way. Okay, Apostle does that. He doesn't have a follow-up out of that because I'm out of range. Noble queued up a follow-up as a, this is not follow-up, this is an attack of neutral, a double slam. So right now, punish because Apostle jumped, side hop. So even if the Apostle did a fireball there, I would have been safe because I could have just like walked towards him and blind spot the fireball. Either way, okay. Roll away. I don't want to roll into Apostle, so I roll away. Punish. Roll. And now Apostle is idling. I knew that Apostle was idling when Noble started when Noble started the roll. So he's now in full idle. Like, he's dead. It's important for you to see it's important for you to keep your eyes on a Noble until he enters into a consistent orbit around you. So you need your camera focused on Noble still. You can still punish Apostle. He's idling. He's not going to do anything. He's dead as a brick. Okay, that was still unsafe for me. I had to roll it. But now I can roll Noble without seeing him because he's in a consistent orbit around me. I don't need to look at Noble to know when he's going to come. This is safe. So I can just punish Apostle, roll. Like, I even rolled there before Noble even approached me because it's just safe. And then I swap back to Noble because I want both to finish him off, and also I know that Apostle is still idle. Okay, tail swipe, I'm not in front of Noble, so he doesn't have a follow-up. So instead he just, not follow-up, he doesn't do anything from neutral because I'm too far enough, I'm too far away from him for him to do any of the close range to the side or behind neutral attacks. So instead he's just side hopping to get me back in the range of view. He side hop takes him away from me as I'm also walking away, so we're creating range there. Yeah, he does a front hop poke. He's this is just a case of FromSoft AI being dumb because his front hop poke doesn't put him anywhere near close enough for him to be able to actually hit me, so I don't even care about it. I'm looking at Apostle. He's behind, so not good. Again, I just roll away, trying to recenter my camera to see Apostle. He's walking at me. Kill Noble. Apostle is back to idling. And now Apostle is going to be aggro. Right now, Apostle is full aggro. He cannot be passive anymore because Noble is dead. So now I'm playing the fight, the no sprint, no roll away, but also just being a bit dumb with it because it's just solo Apostle, so it doesn't matter. Because I was taking punishes on Apostle during the duo fight, this made it so that he is much closer to transition when he's left alone. So I can burst him down much faster. That's a really important and good way of dealing with the duo fight. You pre-punish Apostle enough so that when he's left alone, you only have to deal a little damage to transition him. Keep in mind, the transition is a scripted sequence. So all of those punishes are scripted. You're going to get them. Okay. I don't punish. Walk out, back, like, remember that punish? This is the transition now. He's going to transition. Double punish. If I had done the third one, you can do 3, but I didn't have the stamina, and I would have been able to roll. So I do 2. Roll. I do 2 punishes. Well, actually, just 1 punish because of stamina. I could have done 2 punishes there. Okay, I get behind him. Again, I wait for him to actually get to like swipe past me. Only do 2 here. You can do 3, but I only did 2 because I was a bit too much to the side. He resummons, but it's fine. It's like he's so low now. And then of course I only hit with 1 sword, and I don't kill him. Doesn't matter. He was gonna do a tornado there, but he's dead. Noble walks in, side hops. Overhead poke. Like, you can recognize the overhead poke. The only reason I didn't walk in there is because the Apostle was still body blocking me. But you can recognize the overhead poke from this movement of the arm. Oop. But I literally couldn't blind spot it because the Apostle was blind spotting it for me. So the roll here is actually both because of the stairs, and the overhead poke is the attack that has the highest reach in his entire arsenal of melee swipes. So just be careful. Okay, roll into him. As you can see, I didn't get the follow-up, the single hill slam follow-up. Such is life. Roll there, like that roll is preemptive. Just because I want to be, like, it doesn't matter, like, both because I'm trying to keep in mind the fact that the belly flop can happen. And also because, like, I didn't manage to get behind him, so I had to roll away. If you're behind him, then you don't need to preemptively roll. Firm. Punish. Again, roll very early. Being in the sweet spot, we're on the Black Flame Ritual. Get the delayed thrust. Roll behind. Not taking the punish there because I was late. And there you go, you get the thing. An important thing to keep in mind about the resummon is that the resummon is an attack from neutral, and it doesn't have a particular. It has high priority, but as long as he is, like, if you manage to keep a combo going, they will have priority over this. So if you keep him doing follow-ups, then he won't be able to resummon, and that's what leads to a variable resummon duration. Sometimes he'll take forever before resummoning because you're playing in such a way that you're baiting combos, whether consciously or unconsciously, subconsciously. Or he's gonna resummon as soon as it's available because he's constantly being brought back to neutral. It's very easy to permanently bait follow-ups from a Noble by just being in the mid-range from him. When they resummon, they keep walking, and this is a set animation, they can't cancel it, so it's safe, but I had to create this. Noble is behind him, and he's running at me now, he's mad. Okay, Fireball, I roll that way. I see Apostle side hopping, but he's not doing anything. I'm looking at Apostle still. Here, Noble is finally transitioning. Well, punish once. Important to notice what Apostle is doing. Those side hops before, especially if he's behind Noble, are very scary. He's in idle mode right now, in passive mode. So, like, it wasn't guaranteed that there's going to be a fireball. But they're scary because he could have, like, done a fireball. That's why I created so much distance. because if he did a side hop into a fireball, I would have had to dodge the fireball, and I would have had to dodge it far enough away with the fireball. I would have had to roll with the fireball far enough away from Noble that the AoE won't hit me, because otherwise I would be in frame trap. But he didn't do that, so instead I'm just rolling in. Apostle was I saw Apostle start idling, so I don't care. Punish. I knew that there was going to be a Noble presence here, but even if it wasn't, it's phase to Noble. It's 100% safe to just be in front of him. Right. Side hop from Apostle, doesn't do anything. Okay, it's safe. Now I turn my attention back to Noble. Oops. Okay. Apostle is... Doesn't matter what Apostle is doing, I'm too far enough for it to matter. I'm trapped behind, like, this is a very bad position for me, especially when the flurry is happening. Because, like, I had to roll in a way that the flurry, like, the flurry is made to frame trap you if you try to roll through the entirety of it. So I basically managed to roll in a way that I don't actually roll the entire part of the first segment of it. So I have enough, so the second roll that I have to queue up is actually timed perfectly with this. And I roll towards the Noble, because Apostle is like far enough from me there. Like, even if it is a double swipe, it's gonna come here, so it's safe. But okay. Fireball. And Noble is rolling, and this is where I die. Because he starts bouncing between the pillars. But now let's look at a proper fight with both of them, and with an actual ending. Well, let's, like, just so you can see everything that's gonna go into this. Where the music? Okay, again, deal with a fireball. Again, bait an attack from Apostle. Try to force Noble to do something. I'm looking at Noble, you know. Okay. Notice the range that I'm at here. I walk backwards a bit, and then I roll into him. The reason for this is I'm far enough away from him here that when I roll the front hop poke, I'm actually baiting the poke follow-up. And the poke follow-up has a blind spot here. Like, it will miss you if you're near Noble. So there you go. So the second hit hits me, misses me. I didn't see Apostle, so I didn't punish. I didn't know what Apostle was doing, so I didn't punish. And instead, I tried to create distance from both of them. Also, like, that's the wobbly horizontal. I'm seeing Apostle now, so I'm. That was the fumbling horizontal. My bad. The fumbling horizontal doesn't lead into a poke. The wobbly does. Okay, so I walk in, reset the fight. Apostle is stuck on the chandelier and he's just gonna break it. Okay. Overhead poke from Noble. If I get too close, he's gonna jump on me. Instead, he does a side hop. Okay. Front hop poke. Roll to the side, and I managed to bait the single hill slam. So now I'm strafing Noble, looking at Apostle. Double punish. That's a very obvious sell. I gauge that I can take the double punish, so I take the double punish, and then roll the fireball. Noble is forced to side hop. He could have also done a tail swipe, but I would have been outside of it. He could have also done the wobbly horizontal, but I would have been outside of it. So all of the options were safe for me. Okay. At this point, I'm far enough away from him that rolling away is gonna bait a delay thrust. There you go. But I don't bait a delay thrust. And then he does a delayed thrust out of neutral, because these are the Noble ways. And the delayed thrust obviously forces Apostle into a jump. So, yeah. The way that they sync up when this happens is perfect, so that you can just do that, for example. But also, you can see that I was trying to get behind Noble, because that's important. Like, getting behind Noble is important, and you don't want to roll that way, because Noble has a giant hitbox on his arm for the delayed thrust. You're gonna see in a moment. there you go. So, I didn't need a second roll there. I would have been safe with just the roll under the jump from Apostle. If I had instead rolled this way, I would have been frame trapped by the arm hitbox. As you can see. Boop, 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 boop. Because Noble also pushes you away. Like if you're here when he starts it, he's just gonna push you behind him. And you're not gonna be hit. You don't want to fight with the way that he moves you. Like you don't want to fight to stay in front of him because you're gonna get hit by the arm hitbox. But yeah. Okay. Apostle is idling, Noble as a side hop. Okay. This is a close by side hop. Yeah, this is important. I probably should have mentioned this for the Noble solo and for Apostle solo. Side hops when you're in melee range actually are not gonna lead to fireballs, obviously, because yeah, it's only distant side hops that are gonna lead into fireballs. Okay, so Noble instead goes into a melee attack because I'm in front of him. He does an elbow slap. I walk up to him, punish. Because of the stairs, you can see that I started my punish farther away because I knew that attacking down the stairs is just going to make me attack further away. Apostle did a sign hop, so I was wary of a fireball. If he had done a fireball there, I would have actually rolled towards Apostle here. But no. He's just walking at me, so it's scary. Instead, Apostle is doing a fireball now. Take the punish there and roll into Apostle afterwards because I was able to time it, but I don't have this in full screen. Okay, now I'm creating distance because it's doing a single hill slam. Apostle is doing a poke. Noble is just walking at me menacingly, but he's idling. This is idle. Don't confuse this with something else. He's idling, and yeah, there you go. I pressure him and he does a back hop. Yeah. Okay. Jump, punish. Create distance. I jumped early enough that even if he did a double stop, I would have been able to outspace it, but it's scary. Like you kind of want to avoid these. Punishing with a jump while being in front of him. One, bait the single hill slam. Pretty sure the single hill slam from Noble. There you go. Yeah, 3570. So the single hill slam from Noble can be heard by Apostle, and it can bait the jump, which is what happens here. I bait the single hill slam, which baits Apostle into doing the jump. And then I dodge both. Again, I didn't need a double roll there. I did it just for safety. Stairs and all. Punish. Roll away. Need double roll there. But Noble is just idling weirdly. Pressure Noble so he back hops. He's idling. I know that Noble is passive, so I can pressure him and he's gonna back up. He has other options, but it's like you're not gonna be endangered by him. He's not gonna do belly flop, for example, because he's idling. He's in passive mode. He can't do it. But yeah, so I'm forcing him to back up, or trying to get him to back up, and creating space for me to deal with Apostle now. He's front hop poke now. They swapped aggro in the middle of Apostle's attack, so now Noble is the one that's... Actually, no, they didn't. My bad. My apologies there. The front hop poke is an attack that he can do while in passive mode, so that's what he did there. And Noble and Apostle is continuing with his attack there. Okay, an attack that can happen. This was baited by Apostle with a fireball. Apostle, fireball, spawning ice on. There you go. That baits Noble into doing a delayed thrust. So I deal with it. Roll behind. pay attention to Apostle. He's doing a fireball. That also can bait. Like the Apostle's fireball also has. I mean, yeah. It can lead into follow-ups, but like I wasn't in front of him. As you can see, I need to be in front of him in a 120-degree radius in front of him, basically, to actually bait things. So I wasn't there for Noble, so it doesn't matter. Relative to Noble is what I mean. This bait delay thrust. Finish it. Looking for Apostle now. There you go. Fireball. Roll. At this point, this is actually an unnecessary roll because Apostle is going to body block now. There you go. He couldn't get past him, but it's fine. I redirect my jump mid-jump to actually hit both of them. And I don't hit both of them, but I try. But also, redirecting my jump also puts me in front of Apostle as opposed to just being here. So if the fireball is just gonna miss me, there you go. Noble is walking to the side. Apostle is jumping. I'm not rolling Apostle. Unnecessary, and it wouldn't have gotten me frame trapped because like this was late enough for me to not get frame trapped. But that was baited by Apostle. Apostle does the jump. Was it? Actually, 1 second. I need to actually see. Yeah, it was. So Apostle does the jump, and that baits Noble into doing a delayed thrust. Okay. Space. Roll a delayed thrust. At this point, I'm far enough from Apostle that I can just mindlessly punish Noble because he had already done a fireball, and he can still do a fireball. Make no mistake, but I'm paying attention for the sound cue. And I'm looking at Apostle, obviously. There you go. Side hop into fireball, because, yeah, he's behind Noble. Noble is transitioning. This time, I am aware that if I had rolled into the transition, I would have been hit by the fireball. I would have been frame trapped. So I'm rolling away. I'm rolling the fireball. I don't care about the transition. And then I change the direction of the roll. Well, I mean, I don't change the direction of the roll. I mean, like, I move away from Noble with one roll, and then I roll back into it because I want to still be in front of Noble to bait the balloon instead of the roll. I don't want the roll from Noble. Apostle is idling, side hop there. Roll this. Apostle isn't doing anything. Okay, walk away. Keep in mind that Noble will actually forces you at a specific distance away from him. So basically this puts you farther away from Apostle. So I'm safe here because it might not look like it, but I'm very far away from Apostle because of how large Noble is. Punish. I see Apostle idling. Get away. Apostle is side hopping. He's not doing anything. At this point, that was a bit scary, but Apostle just started idling, so he has to go through with the idle animation for 2 or 2.5 seconds, and then I just get out immediately. Then he swapped, so that's when his idle animation ended. And there you go, he changes, he's idle. Like I'm looking at Apostle, not Noble, but I'm also paying attention to Noble with the corner of my eye, and I see the flurry, which interacts negatively with the pillar, because like that was really scary. So I have to roll away. Well, I couldn't have rolled that way because my roll distance would have been shortened by the change in elevation. Not shortened, but like the game interacts very weirdly with changes in elevation when it comes to distance and with motion. Apostle is jumping. Roll Apostle. Like I saw him. Like that was enough for me to know that he's jumping. So I basically roll it full of screen. That's fine. Keep in mind this is phase 2 Noble, so it's like really safe being in front of him. but also you don't want to get too close so that he just you don't like when I'm rolling the jump. I don't want to roll towards him because I don't want to get noble presence out of the roll. I'm here, so I'm safe from noble presence. But now I'm trying to bait noble presence. Like being in front of him when he's idling, if he is in active mode, which he isn't right now, but he can turn. He can like if he swaps aggro, he's gonna do noble. He's gonna do noble presence basically. There you go. That was out of idle, but that the single hill slam was out of idle, out of the passive mode. I mean, sorry. He can do it in passive mode, but that swapped aggro back onto him. So now he's back to active mode, and I knew that there was going to be a noble presence, so I baited. I was too far enough from him for me to be able to roll behind him on the firm horizontal into firm poke, so I roll away. I have to roll both things. Roll. And again, we're going to see punishing noble, punishing apostle, and then try, like, waiting. I'm being patient. I don't want to get, like, I don't know what noble is doing because it's not consistent just yet. Like, he's not in a consistent orbit around me. Wait, roll once, and now I know what he's gonna be doing. And I just, whoop. Okay. Noble is dead. And apostle is in transition range now because I punished him. So now I get to a scripted sequence, which these scripted sequences, remember, the scripted sequence does not allow him to resummon. Baiting the thing, but not doing the entire, but not doing the strafe. Okay, then there you go. That's the solo apostle experience. Rolling, bait the single hill slam. I know that I'm not going to be able to lower Noble's HP fast enough for me to be able to like force the transition before the resummon. So I just deal with him in a more passive manner. But when he resummons, I really want to make sure that I am actually just going to lower his HP enough to actually get him to transition. Just to keep the fight going. See Apostle walking at me. That was the idle walk. He walked and then started another idle cycle on walking sideways. Noble presence, but I'm not sure. But I'm not rolling into him just in case Apostle changes aggro. I saw a side hop, but it's irrelevant. And now Apostle is idle. But Noble got completely screwed over by the pillar, so now I completely changed attention onto Noble. Like, I'm not even caring about Apostle. At this point, it's too late for me because like I got him into a stable orbit now. I can just walk in a circle to deal with him. Trying to end up in front of him when he's done rolling so that I can bait a Noble presence because like yeah, this is another attack with a very high priority that's always probably like 90% of the time going to lead me to Noble presence, but I can't because there's literally a pillar behind me, so I end up behind him. Black Flame Ritual Apostle is forced to like run so that he can't be. They're not allowed to be too far away from each other. Like he runs, side hops, doesn't do anything. Like again, I'm paying attention to Apostle. And at this point, the fight goes on, I think, for a bit longer because like Apostle wasn't being cooperative. We can show it. Oh, that's just annoying. Like side hop because he was behind Apostle, so he's forced into a side hop. Fireball, create distance, as usual. Strafe the fireball, don't roll the fireball if you can. At this point, I would be willing to take punishes on either of them, but they're both not doing a lot. Like, again, Apostle is the one that you can't be in front of in neutral. I can't just walk towards them. I'm trying to swap aggros back onto Noble so that he runs forward. I could have run there behind her. Like at this point, I was being a bit overly passive. Punish. I'm not taking it. Oh, this is also phase 1 Noble, so I can't just walk too close to him because he's gonna belly flop me. So yeah, this is the worst of all. This is the worst scenario possible. Okay, punish. Fireball, strafe. I can't. Too late for me to actually start an attack. Oh, my bad. That wasn't phase 2. That wasn't phase 1 Noble. Phase 2. I've been talking for a long time now. I'm losing my concentration. Yeah. Noble presence. You also have to keep track of Noble presence cooldown, just to allow you more flexible play in phase 2 relative to Apostle. Roll opposite way from Apostle. He walks in, side hop, he back hops, jump, and that should be it. Actually, no. Okay. This is it. And that's it, basically. I pray that this has been enough, and I don't need to be Godskin Duo support anymore. Bye-bye.